Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. As you can tell, we're running slightly late. I do promise you the culprit is actually the food. I think we've been running smack on schedule for the first half of the day. And then, as expected, it's the lunch break that kind of threw us off a little. I do apologize for that. We'll be sure to add this time onto the session. It's good to have you back after this short break. We're going to kick things off with another panel discussion. This time it's going to be in transition of leadership. I'd like to give the floor to Şerif Kaynar, the honorary chairman of Korn Ferry Turkey. The floor is yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this panel. On March 8th, the Women's Day, we also salute the importance of women in our lives, in our success, and in the future. That's the reason we have a panel who fully supportive of women. When Cengiz Bey asked me to be a panel leader, I asked a topic which is very important these days. That is, what is the impact of leadership and how it is changing? Just to introduce myself, my day-to-day mission is to find successful leaders to various companies. So for this panel, I chose four very interesting and very successful people. I will introduce them one by one. Agah Uğur on my far left. I have known him for 30 years. He's probably one of the most successful CEOs in Turkey. He built a company from very little to a huge billion-dollar company, Borusan, and currently he's going to, I ask every speaker to introduce themselves at the beginning. Damla Birol, very successful lady on the beer sector. She really made an impact for the Turkish industry on her profession. And then Gürcan Karakaş on my right. He is after spending a long career in Bosch, he decided to move to Turkey to lead this new venture, which is a consortium of 5 different equity partners trying to build an electrical car in Turkey. So he's currently the CEO and chairman of that company. And on my very right, Esen Tümer, of course, she's from the health sector. She represents artificial intelligence. After 20 years in professional life, she became entrepreneur. She has 2 companies. Any questions, I mean, because of the COVID environment, we said she will make an impact to this panel. First, I will conduct this panel with question and answers, but my initial question will be to all 4 of them to give a 1-minute, 2-minute speech about how did the COVID impacted their business as far as business continuity or as far as keeping the people motivated to come to work or to do work. So we'll start from Agah, and we continue like that. It's a 2-minute general introduction of how the COVID environment impacted their leadership.
Thank you, Chairman. Thanks for nice words as well. I am very happy to be here with you. I retired from my professional life end of 2018, and I named this new area as AU Act 2. I realized that most of us is having our Act 2s as well. I think except Damla, almost all of us. Yes. She's too young for that. Anyway, and in this period, my Act 2 is actually, I became an investor in technology startups. I have my own portfolio now, and also a partner and chairman of a Turkish venture capital fund, Bozici Ventures by coincidence. the same name, but no relationship here. So maybe I can give you a taste of how they live this. I mean, it is easy to characterize venture capital backed startups with founders is actually they do business with other people's money. And other people means individuals or institutions give money to those VCs if they grow, if they can show a trajectory of growth. And of course, during pandemic, it's not easy to grow. So it became a cash flow issue for each of those startups. There was only one item on the agenda of almost every meeting. What is our cash burn, monthly cash burn? How much we can reduce that to, and how many months of runway, which means how much money I have in hand, how many months I can survive with this money on the basis that I will not get new money, new funding in the near future. So that is a life and death scenario for most people, but I was lucky enough to see that all the companies in my own portfolio survived this period. Of course, apart from this, the safety and the continuity of the businesses, especially for mature businesses, the supply chain management was extremely important, as well as cash preservation. But then those who fared better into the middle of the let's say crisis start looking to the second level of issues, which is what is my market share? If I am strong enough, can I get a bigger market share? And secondly, what is my operating model right now, and how should I change it? I know that I have to change it, but how to change it? This is the right time before everything gets back to normal type of thing. So it was a very sort of agile and cash-based living, and then move forwards for looking forward more strategic issues.
Thank you. Namla, I saw my business, if my turnover was 100, it dropped to 30 last May, and I was in panic. So what did you do yourself?
Good afternoon, everybody. I am the CEO and board member of Türk2Borg, and I'm very happy to be here on International Women's Day. To answer your question, what a 12 months we have lived through. I mean, I've always thought that business leaders in Turkey were, quite adaptable, because over the last 3 decades, we have lived through so many global or local economic crises. So we were seasoned against crisis. But I have to say that I don't think any of us had in their playbook a pandemic. And believe me, I've asked around. I've asked every CEO and general manager I know, did you have in your business continuity plans a pandemic? And they said no. And with hindsight, that's really amazing to me, because so many wise men were telling us that, there was a real chance of this happening. So still, I think that the whole business world, especially in Turkey, adapted quite well to what was happening, along with the healthcare workers, etc. And from my own experience, what happened to us was we started hearing about the pandemic, I think a little bit before the cases in Turkey became apparent, because our group companies started talking about them. And even before there was one case in Turkey, our big meetings were canceled, there were travel restrictions. But on the day one of the case, all of a sudden, we were working out of hundreds of homes. This was something that was very, very unexpected. Although we are very well versed in digital communication, because we are a global company with many offices in Turkey and abroad, to run the business from the homes was, an exceptional experience from us. And following that, our immediate priority was, how do we protect our people? And that required us getting together a much larger team of management than currently is, including people who were not really even in positions of management. And that helped us a lot because within days, we were able to run our business from homes. Within days, we were able to provide protection for our people. Within weeks, we were quadrupling our changing rooms. We were tripling our service buses. So it was a huge effort. And the first priority was the protection of the people. And during the first few days of the pandemic, I listened to someone I respect a lot, Bekir Ağırdır of Konda, and two things he said resonated a lot with me. He said, this is the time to listen rather than talk, to listen to your ecosystem. And the second thing he said was, you really have to take care of your ecosystem. And what is our ecosystem? Not just our employees, but all the distributors we have with almost as many people as we have. And our customers, 70,000 customers. So for example, we were one of the first to distribute protective equipment and face shields to 70,000 customers in Turkey. So it was really like a roller coaster, up and down. There was demand, then there was lockdown, then there wasn't demand. And it was, it was something that you had to manage, but always in the back of your mind, am I doing enough to protect the people that I'm responsible for? So I think what is important in those times is that you have core values of your company come through. So if you say that you care about quality, it's obvious that you have to have the best protection material. If you say you care about transparency, you care about that. So for me, it was going back to the core values, and I was really impressed with the way that people were rising to the occasion.
Thank you. On my right, Gürcan Bey will become the Tesla of Turkey, of course. They didn't name the name of the car. It's still a secret what it is be called. But Gürcan Bey, over the last 6 months, we are hearing all these IPOs from various electrical car manufacturers around the world. So for you, this COVID was a great time, all these electrical car manufacturers skyrocketing in the share price, going IPOs. Is that true?
That's definitely true. First of all, I think what the people buy is the future. So, and it's already known that with all those megatrends triggering all those changes and deeply impacting our lives, they do transform the vehicle into a smart device, which becomes a living space. So what we can do in the offices and in the homes, we'll be able to do it also in the car, especially with autonomous driving. And that's the reason why the people are investing a lot of money into the future of these companies. And there, you're right, we do differentiate between the classical OEMs who do manufacture since 100, 150 years the cars on one side, and on the other side, by the way, they are not progressing, honestly. And on the other side, all the newcomers, disrupting the business model. So the ownership in the whole automotive industry is right now completely changing because the new technologies make it really available that new business models based on data, based on services, and with the connection to all those what is smart homes, smart cities, smart infrastructures, create a lot of business potential. And that's what we are also doing right now. And therefore, if you ask me also the same question, like the others, have you been totally surprised with the pandemic topic? With the pandemic, yes, but not with the way we are collaborating, because in this totally volatile and uncertain world we have been already in, we have been born into that. So we had to anyhow use the remote collaboration technologies, remote collaboration techniques, and we have been organized also right from the beginning. Not many people know this. As a startup, we don't have an organization chart. We have work packages. No, we don't have. I don't need boxes. We don't need the hierarchy. We don't need the silos. So what we need is, this is exactly what disrupts the whole industry. We need the cross-functional expertise of the people. Let them decentrally decide, because they are the experts of the things they are looking for and iterating for. and searching for, and give them the empowerment and the accountability so that they are much faster than the competitors, because there is no one in the corporate, in the central, having been manufacturing or having been designing an electric car 10 times. There is no such an experience. So therefore, it needs to be decentralized to the team. And this has been actually what we have been doing also during the pandemic time.
Very good. I'm going to, as soon as I finish this meeting, I'm going to terminate the organization chart in my company as well. Esen Hanım, you are from the health sector, so everybody is suffering, but you should not suffer, because the health sector is the king and queen of the sector. Everything is thriving in there. And plus you added a company called Artificial Intelligence. Yes. So tell me, what's your experience for the past 12 months?
Thank you. Indeed, I was in the healthcare industry for the last 25 years. I was a CEO for like Medtronic, for Philips Healthcare and J&J in the past. And I was in love with technology, and I was very lucky to be in the healthcare arena for the last 2 decades. Then I decided to invest in technology because I had the passion about technology and to be an entrepreneur. But to be out of the comfort zone of the corporate life is not easy. And I got an offer from Connecticut, from Medtronic, to go to robotic surgery and technology. Flying back to Turkey, I was reluctant to go to States again. And I thought, what I can do, how can I have a startup? I was just thinking. Then I got a call from Manchester, advisory board membership for the smart wearable technology. And I told them, how did you find me? And they offered me AI technology, because I got a degree from Harvard University about AI, then medical device, and you're a woman leader. That's why we prefer to have you on board. It was a kind of trigger for myself. Yes, this is a time for me to have a new company establishment, to leave the corporate lifestyle. Then I did. Just last year, I established the company in Istanbul and New York, based in Manhattan also, just before the pandemic. It was exactly right timing for me to be an entrepreneur in the healthcare plus the AI technology. Then we have another company called Smart Wearables, artificial intelligence and AI technology on top of it. And we are producing locally antimicrobial, antiviral solutions with the affiliation of the university, which means being in this crisis moment, to be in the healthcare arena, on top to have the technology, being a woman leader, and also seeing all the obstacles, what the ecosystem is suffering today in the world, how we can convert them into advantages. Then it became a gorgeous success story for both of us, for myself and for my partner as well.
So if you can get Esen Hanım 5 minutes in the interval, you can get many good ideas and even become a partner with her in this idea.
Pleasure.
Now, in the past, the leader there was one sentence about the leader. A good leader is a person who can collect good leaders around him. That was the secret of it. Today, I heard that Agah Uğur, in a speech he was making, he said the future, it will be completely different. The leader has to be kind, environmental friendly. Agah, please, can you elaborate? What is your future expectation of a good leader? You mentioned in a few other places.
Thank you, Sherif. I think, yes, most of the attributes of a good leader still continues, though. I mean, in order to be a good leader, not only a business leader, but any leader, you have to have a dream or a mission to achieve that dream. You must know where you want to be, your organization to be in the next 5-10 years. So that still continues. You must have a full commitment, engagement to deliver the results to get there. That still continues. You have to be authentic. I mean, be yourself, transparent. That doesn't change. I don't know what else. I mean, you have to be able to empower people. You have to be courageous in some of the decisions. But on top of those main attributes, I think probably two more came with this. The pandemic speeded that up, but it was on the way. Anyway, the trends. one of them is you have to be much more collaborative. I mean, Damla was talking about caring about your ecosystem. Without an ecosystem, the world is so complex, so fast, so hyper competitive that you cannot do everything inside the company. You have to be the leader of collaboration within your organization, but that's not good enough. You have to be the leader of collaboration around you. You have to manage and make sure that your ecosystem excels as well into the future. That's one thing. And the other point you raised, Sheriff, is there is this new concept, which I love, to be honest. I mean, leading with kindness. Kindness is not a choice anymore. I think unless you prove that you make something good, create a good impact on your stakeholders or on the environment you do, and you touch the hearts of people, including starting from your employees, but also to your customers, to your community as a whole, that is not good enough. If you don't do that, people will not choose you. They will choose somebody else who does it. So leading with kindness means touching not only the brains of people, but the hearts of people is a must now. And when you put that as your driving reference, that only the value creation in an economic term is not good enough, but you have to be kind enough. You have to define your own kindness yourself, and the social impact you create from that yourself. But once it becomes a reflex in your questioning, then life changes in a much easier way.
Okay, but Damla, in a dog-eat-dog competitive environment, every competitor is after you. They are trying to get market share, and you as a woman leader, you are part of the scene of women equality in Turkey. Can you manage to be a kind person?
I believe we can. I think the days of this stubborn, bullheaded, one-man show leadership are over. They were over before the pandemic, and the pandemic made it even more evident that this doesn't work. Look at the US with the largest resources in the world, and you have 500,000 people dead. So what I think this has shown us is that the overconfidence of leadership is something that we really have to think about, and we really have to do take some stock, look at ourselves as leaders and think about what this means for us, what this pandemic experience means for us. And also in Turkey, because I just recently saw a research by Willis Towers Watson, where people in Turkey were actually less confident in business leaders than they were in other countries, and more afraid to lose their jobs, which means that our job is even tougher. So how do we take a look back at ourselves? I think one of the most important concepts, and I think building on Agah Bey's idea of kindness, is there's ample research that shows that creating psychological safety at the workplace, the kind of leadership where you're consultative rather than the only person who's right in the room, the kind of inclusive and diverse team management that makes people ask questions and contribute not only formally but informally to the business and not be able to criticize, has a direct business consequence. This is proven that it contributes to innovation, it contributes to business success. And this is what I think that we should be taking a hard look at and thinking about, because the problems that we are facing require this kind of thinking and this kind of diversity. And this psychological safety, when it is created, means that you can really head on compete with your competitors on a much better scale, because you are not alone in competing and you are not the only person who has to think of the answers. It's the entire company, regardless of their job descriptions, regardless of their positions of power or titles, that contribute to this. And that's exactly what we saw happening during the pandemic. Those who could create that psychological safety did a much better job, regardless of which industry they were.
Okay, now I'm going to ask Gürcan Bey a tougher question. in the last 5 years in Turkey, we lost some perception. You know, we do not bring, I mean, foreign investment has been reduced to a lower degree. There was a attempted coup attempt which made some negative image to that. And you are trying, and there has been problems with the high inflation figures and losing value of the Turkish lira. And you are building a car where you have to build a global talent as well as Turkish talent. Well, you have to get the best of talent in your team. Mm-hmm. How do you manage as a leader to bring these talents into your organization at these turbulent times, plus COVID?
Mm-hmm. Oh, good question. Sharif Bey, the fact that the knowledge is meanwhile global is one of the things we all need to really understand. What do I mean with that? We do not need the people or the talent necessarily here sitting with us. Yeah? It could be that half of my knowledge is sitting right now here in Istanbul and working in China, and the other half is in the US and doing something in Sunnyvale. So therefore, it was very much in the past that we have been doing these differentiations. But coming back to your question, yes, that's true. So we are doing something exceptional. We are doing something disruptive. We are doing something which has not been done before. So we have to do it with above average performance and above average people. So, and if they are not here, then we bring them to our project. And what is the motivation? The motivation is, first of all, I think in every one of us, there is something to shape, something to develop, something to improve. So, and if there is, especially if you are in the field of technology and you are having an ambition to disrupt, then there are not many platforms where the young talents and also experienced talents find their field of application. So what we are offering is simply we are cultivating an environment where all the knowledgeable people with all their ideas, with all their innovative ideas can collaborate and bring us a step ahead. We are not limiting them. This is very important. We are not squeezing their ideas. We are not filtering their ideas. We are really empowering them. We are decentrally self-organizing them to solve our solutions. That's why we are hiring them. So,
okay. Very good. So you are creating a business environment which is accommodating all these talents wherever they are located. Now, Esen Hanım, please, can you elaborate? Do you think the world becomes a global village located everywhere and you can draw?
Exactly. So fully agree.
So that will be the future.
Already is the reality, I think. I think there's a perception, not the future, already existing. For example, in our team that we are based in Istanbul and New York, but our team is sitting in even from India to today, my team, and from India to Mexico, to Canada, to US in Silicon Valley, plus Israeli. And also some of them are from the time to time partially from UK and Germany, which means already in technology domain, already, especially in healthcare, for example, when you go to a radiologist, they were reading your X-ray already today for many years. An Indian person or any other person globally sitting in Korea or in Bulgaria, they were reading your reports only signed by your professor after his review. It was already done for many years in healthcare, but with technology, already is going to be expanding tremendously, that we are going to be a globally one organization like. You will be having a team. Diversity is going to be a very major domain also, but they are going to be clubbed into some segments and no hierarchy anymore. As you are mentioning about as talk, I think they are going to have the center of excellence and experts are going to be recommending no more hierarchy, no more classical traditional way of working as a leadership also.
Yeah. After the second thing, I'm going back and changing my organization again. But I am scared. These people are talking about digitalization, learning, artificial intelligence. Are we obsolete as leaders, or do we need to go out and start learning from, again, A, B, C, D?
I mean, I guess, Sheriff, there are two types of answers for that, the real one and the fake one. The real one is, yes, I think we are obsolete, but we are lucky to be in the latter part of our careers. So we don't need to change completely. If we can adapt, if we are agile enough and adaptive enough, we will manage. But for young generation, this is not the case. I think, assuming that you are in early 30s, and if you have another 40 years of career in your professional career, I cannot imagine them managing one career over there. I mean, they have to agree that they have to change, and it has to be a lifetime learning. Learning is not only reading, hearing, and putting knowledge in your brain. It is actually doing it, executing it, which is very different, of course.
Okay, we are coming towards the last part. I want to mobilize a few things. After this COVID issue, I hear that some global companies will become regional companies, and Turkey has a strength of building regional leaders. A company based in Turkey specializing in Iran, Greece, Bulgaria. So, plus, because China is the bad boy, there is they say that there are 3 or 4 countries where manufacturing will be an important place, and Turkey is one of those countries. Damla, do you see post-COVID a potential upcoming opportunities for Turkish leaders to expand their influence area by becoming regional leaders in this geography?
Absolutely. I started, if you remember, by saying that we are seasoned crisis managers. And that goes for a lot of skills as well for people in Turkey. And when you look at what is happening in the global world, first it's very global, then it's going to become regional. No, every country is going to be for himself. And then if you actually take the long view, like for example, Yuval Harari does, I mean, if you look at 100 years ago, it wasn't even US that was in power, and it was Europe. And then when we were born into this world, it was a dual polarized world. And then now we're talking about regional powers like China coming abroad. Throughout this whole history, if you take the long view, humankind improved no matter where the power was resting. And we have longer lives, we have better vaccination and medicine, and less children are dying in Turkey today. So everything is an opportunity, and it's a big opportunity for Turkey, I believe, as well, and for Turkish managers. We at Tuborg benefit from a global talent pool because we are working with Carlsberg for Tuborg and Carlsberg brands. We are working with Heineken for Sol and Desperados brands. And we are working with Diageo for the Guinness brand. So I see ourselves, not only them contributing to us, but it's a two-way street. I see our talent contributing to the larger scale of things across the world. And for example, most recently, one of our own from the supply chain became the head of technology for the entire group in this region. And that just goes to show that we have an incredible impact and incredible talent in this country. And that is going to be put into excellent use, I believe, in the coming years.
Just to push your idea, the lady I placed as chairman of Sodexo France in Turkey now runs Burçin Ressamoğlu, the whole of England Sodexo. So we have many success cases like that. Absolutely. From Turkish talent. Now, Gürcan Bey, when you were in Bosch, you spent a hell of a lot of time in China. Whenever I called you, you were in China. But today, as far as the two questions. One is, do you see China becoming more and more dominant in the world? But I see not that many Chinese leaders around me. they are spending more time with the Chinese companies, I guess. How do you see the evolvement of China from your perspective?
What I believe is, it is already the case. They are already dominating.
They are dominating.
They are dominating by volume, definitely. So by business volume. The thing what makes us probably feel them a bit less compared to other nationals in the leadership is their market is so huge. Their companies are so diverse that they are very much busy with themselves right now. So I think it's the next step where we are going to have this, because I know from my own experience that if they go abroad, they bring their Chinese with themselves. So this will come, Sherif Bey, this will come, definitely. So the thing is, do we need to fear or do we need to change something? I think we do not need to fear anything. What we really need to understand is how, first of all, these cultures think, how they function on one side, and on the other side, how the companies are thinking and functioning. And there's always a way, and there's always a potential, not only to collaborate, also on a fair competition basis, to compete and to create synergies.
Perfect. Now my question to Esen Hanım. Esen Hanım, do you believe science, I mean, this is the question. From what I hear, everybody's saying technology, science, and these are the key differentiators. But what about the behavioral side of the things? Managing, being motivating, being a good leader, others having trust in you, the soft issues of a leader. Where do you see? You know, you are the best scientist, best artificial intelligence, but if you don't have this compassion, you are not. How do you react?
It's a very good question. I think the answer is that, for example, for the science part, also this is my article about the emotional intelligence, spiritual intelligence, because as good leaders, you should have not only IQ, not only EQ, but you should also have this spiritual intelligence to see the wholeness, the purpose, the value. There is a new world. Whenever I think the leaders, whenever they are becoming authentic self, they make a difference. And in the world, there are more than 8 billion people. And then we are all having different fingerprints. We are authentic, we are so unique, which means as the leaders to understand the humanity, even though AI technology, there is a question you were asking to Agah Bey. Are we going to have absolute? No, we are going to be more important. But we are not going to use our physical intelligence to run the show. The machines will do the tools, and they are going to be supporting us. We shouldn't be scared of technology. Technology is going to be supporting us to have a better, good life. I think the critical question is technology in the good hands or bad hands? The intention how to use technology is going to be the major the question. It's going to be the ethics of using the AI, technology, blockchain, and which hands, with which intention we are going to be utilizing them. That is a key question.
Okay. Now, distinguished listeners, we are coming to the end of our speech, our panel. We have a very high-ranking ambassadors following us. I will be sitting and listening to them. But before closing, I want each person, I will be the last one to say, 1 minute, if you are a teacher at the Harvard Business School, and you have these, not actual students, but top CEOs in front of you. And what will be your advice to them in this turbulent times when you say, it's very small, quick from Aga. You are at the Harvard Business School, you have these students in front of you. One of them is the chairman of IBM, the other one is Nestle, and so on. Okay, Damla, you start, and then we'll...
Well, I'm going to pick an entirely different topic. It's about leadership, but it's about one of the responsibilities of leadership, and it's about gender equality, and I think it's an apt day to talk about this. We are 50% of the population as women, and yet in all aspects of the economy, we are underrepresented, we are a minority. And as such, I name ourselves as the minority that is not a minority. If you look at Turkey, for example, you have only 36% of the women participating in the workforce. And when you do not, then it means that you don't have the means to support yourselves, and you have all these victim stories out there. And of the boards of Turkey, of the top 400 companies listed in the stock exchange, only 17% of the boards are made up of women. And there are 134 companies with not even a single woman board member. And I think that's a shame. So if any business leader is listening to me, then I say that this is an issue that we have to tackle. And not only because it is the right thing to do, but it's also because we have ample research, we have ample evidence that when you have women in positions and power on the boards, you have better business results. And that is exactly what we should be considering and thinking about, because without diversity, we're not going to achieve much.
Perfect.
Okay, I think because of the symbolic value of today, the 8th of March, probably I will say also the same, but I'll stay on the same topic. I think where we are today in gender equality is much better than before. It has become a reference point for good or bad. Now, at least people are under great pressure, but real change only happens in shorter terms when you have no choice. My advice to the leaders would be to make sure that you put very, very strong targets with even positive discrimination towards gender equality in your companies, and you go for it. That is one point. Maybe one more issue is that I was really extremely excited about what happened to the Twitter and Facebook account of Trump. And when the technology leaders collaborated together, they worked together as leaders of businesses, they served, I believe, for the better of the world. And I think be courageous, don't only stick to your business. If you view that you have a point to raise, be an activist CEO is also important.
Perfect. Gürcan Bey?
Sherif Bey, I don't believe there is a one-fits-for-all solution.
Okay,
So
but
what I can recommend is the following, which is not necessarily with leadership, but what every person working in a collaborative environment needs. The first one is integrity. Live it. Do what you're saying and say what you're doing, because that's the trust basis, what is being then created. The second thing is, especially looking to the fact that we need to touch the hearts of the people, as mentioned earlier. We need to put our people into the center. We need to give them the stage. We need to mentor them, coach them. And the more we do, the more we learn as well. And the last thing is, again, with learning. So I think being the everlasting student is opening doors, especially if it comes to new era, new technologies, new ways of collaboration, and that keeps us also awake.
Very good.
Those three things.
So I'm keeping my secret recipe for the last but I give you before I close. Yes, Esad.
Well, indeed, I will give elevator pitch at Harvard to mention about the quantum physics, which means you are having a life, a holographic life. You are the film director of your life. You are the scenarist of your life. You are the player of your life, and you are the audience. You are the observer of your life. So whatever you write, play, and you are going to observe, that is your full consciousness, which means whatever you are going to write a story about yourself, about your life, you are going to make it happen, either as a victim or a glory.
And to closing this panel, I give you my 1 minute thing. Whatever you do, you have to create a compromise culture to, you are not right. In Turkey, I find this is a bit missing. Find a solution in midway. Give half of your rights away. Find a compromise. With this way, you can, for example, we have a problem at the Bosphorus University. With a compromise culture, it can be resolved. How to build a compromise culture? Let's listen to the ambassador in our next panel and we'll learn all about it. Thank you.